What's up everyone, I'm Jsemp and we're back here with another art video today. So today I decided to start another sketchbook series. Some of you might know I'm really into drawing fantasy creatures and kind of creating this world that I like to call the Mythos. I have a little Instagram page that I kind of post stuff on. Haven't really done that in a while, but I still do a lot of this stuff on the side, but I just don't post it on my actual Instagram account. But I decided that I would make a series of kind of my process behind creating these different creatures and how I come up with the lore behind them. So yeah, without further ado, let's start on the first piece in this new sketchbook. Okay, I'm so excited to take you through this. So basically, I start off most of my creature designs without any plan of what I'm going to be doing. And that's because I like to really just create from my imagination. I usually start with a very humanoid base, but I choose to accentuate a single feature. And in this case, I chose to accentuate the eyes a bit, but mostly the nose. And that gave me a very like fairy-esque vibe from this creature. So I thought, why not add some fairy wings? And I didn't want to do it in the normal sense where it would be coming from the back. And so I decided to add some fairy wings coming from the side of the head. And I get into the kind of details of that anatomy later. And so right now I'm coming in and creating the zoomed out version of the full body. Now I'm not really used to drawing figures. I'm more of a portrait guy because I just love drawing portraits, but I knew that I needed to give a full body sense to really develop this character. And it's really important to do things like that because like I said, I don't come into this with a plan. So the more different angles and different scenes that I create this creature in, the more lore that I'm able to create behind it. And the more backstory that I have, the more inspiration I get to add different features. So I wanted to give a sense that the creature was flying. This creature also kind of gave me the idea that it was a much smaller creature, so I decided to try and give a sense of scale by it carrying an apple, but that seemed a bit too forced, so I'm going to erase that, but I am going to add that later because I think adding a sense of scale for these creatures is very important. And so yeah, right now I'm coming in with the idea of the anatomy. So I'm creating a skull of this creature to really break down how the basic skull structure of this creature works. So I'm having the wings kind of jutting out of the zygomatic, which is your cheekbone. And I wanted to give that sense because I didn't want the wings to just be coming out of the face, right? And this helps give this page a much cleaner, official, kind of old school 18th century bestiary look. Which is exactly why I love creating these creatures because, I'm a big fan of these old looking texts. And this is the reason why I'm going to come in later with some cursive and things like that to make it even look older. So right now I'm adding the wings. I'm trying my best to keep it in perspective because I'm drawing them from all these different angles. And so around this point, I'm starting to think, okay, so this creature can fly, but it only has wings on its head. How is it supporting its body weight? So when I started to think that, I was like, what if this creature had holes throughout its bone structure, right? Basically making it much more of a hollow creature and therefore having a much lighter bone structure so that these wings could support it in flight. And it's these questions, right? The practicality of the dynamics of these creatures that really help drive the creation of certain things. So that's why you saw that I added these kind of holes in the skull, and right now I drew the breakdown of the anatomy of the wing, kind of zooming in on that, trying to design that because I know there's many ways I could have gone about doing the wings. I could have made them feathered, but I decided to make them almost dragonfly-like, which most fairies have because I wanted to make it give the sense of iridescent, clear, hollow, stuff like that. Not hollow, but I'm calling these creatures hollows because of the fact that most of their bones are hollow from all of these holes that are within them. And so right now, like I said, I'm coming back in with that apple idea, and so I kind of drew in that apple to give a sense of scale. Right now I'm coming in with a lot of details, with writing basically what I'm telling you guys. I said underneath the wing that there's an iridescent, clear, translucent wing. I wrote that the creatures are called Hallows because of the hollow stuff in their skulls, the hollow holes that then make them able to support their weight when flying. And then from that, I created a deeper meaning behind the holes in that they can control the holes within their head by breathing in certain ways. And they can create these different patterns, and that represents, the different clans that they're in, or the communication that they can have with other creatures, right? And so they each have different patterns. So you can see that I added a certain pattern on the one that's the zoomed in of the face. I'm adding or going to add a different pattern on the one that's flying. And so it's things like this when, you create a practicality of, the anatomy, and then you go in and kind of create some fantasy lore behind that. So right now I'm kind of creating a more detailed version. I'm coming in and overlaying over the rough line work that I did of the flying creature, adding some clothes to it, doing things like that. I'm adding some ropes around the creature, so it's like carrying the apple. I imagined that the creature would be around 1 foot tall if that was the scale. You have an apple that's pretty much carrying its entire back. An apple is really only this large. But yeah, I'm definitely coming to a close, just adding some very minor details. I had a lot of fun with this piece. I'm definitely looking forward to doing many more pieces like this. I have an entire sketchbook that I plan to create like this. I love creating these creatures because I someday want to have this whole world filled with all these different fantasy creatures, and who knows, maybe create a graphic novel in the future. So yeah, you can see I'm adding the final details, adding the veins within the wings. But yeah, so I'm just going to let you kind of visually see the layout, which is a big part of all of this, because I someday also want to kind of create this into a beast series myself. So yeah, I am going to cut back to the outro. Enjoyed that video. I had a lot of fun creating the new creature called the Hallow. I definitely look forward to creating more creatures like this in the future. I hope that you guys can enjoy things like this. I'm starting to put out a lot more content on my YouTube channel. So yeah, if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe if you want to stay tuned. Gently tap that like button. And as always, thanks for watching.